Hey, Anissa Coy here with Firehouse Education and another episode of Ask Annissa video column. And today on this episode, I wanted to answer or talk about a question that someone emailed me named Joe. And Joe asked me a question that comes in all the time, and it was about pricing. And specifically, he asked me about how do I price when I'm doing log non-restorable or non-salvageable items. So I'm assuming that what he meant was that how do I price, how do I charge for that? So it was a billing question. And so I want to talk about this. So you will hear some that bill by the box, some that bill by the item, and some that will do like time and materials. And what I want to talk about is how I built, which I have found to be the most successful, highest profit, as long as you're efficient and have your crew trained correctly. And then the least amount of kickback and pushback from the insurance company. So what I do is I do a version that I call time, a kind of a hybrid of time and materials. So I do time and materials when it comes to my contents jobs, of course, marking up all of my materials. And then, of course, making sure that my labor is adjusted accordingly to take into account my labor burden. I've done that processing and I know what it actually costs me every hour to have a team member out on a job site. And then I mark that up if it needs to be adjusted in Xactimate, which generally it does because it's not in there high enough for me in what just standard comes in Xactimate. But some areas it is. It depends on your area as to what that hourly rate is in Xactimate. So I adjust that if need be for my conditions. And then I also make sure that I'm charging accordingly for my supervisor hours and so on. Now, the next thing I do, and why I call this kind of the time and materials hybrid, is I then also charge for specialty items. For instance, if I have somebody that comes in and handles a pool table for me, or a piano retuning, or I have a specialty art restoration that needs to go out, I will do based upon value billing, right? Like when I handle grandma's china, I don't just charge my hourly rate for that. Like if you break pieces, you're liable for a lot. If you can even find a replacement piece, who knows how much it could cost. So not to mention, we have very high sentimental value to our homeowner on that item. So there's a lot more liability and risk. So I charge accordingly. Also, if an item has a rider on the policy, and that means that that item, it can be a group of items or just one-off high value item that is maybe a collector or something, and it has kind of its own mini insurance policy within the contents policy, and it's called a rider. So, for instance, for my jewelry and our watches that we have a rider on our home insurance policy. So there's an extra set dollar amount that covers all of our jewelry and watches that Kevin and I have in our home that is not subject to the rest of the policy. It's kind of like its own little mini policy. It's also not subject to a deductible, which is amazing. And something that has a rider is generally a higher value item and specialty items. So therefore, it's not something that I'm going to just charge a standard rate for. Like for instance, when I had a table that was $18,000 in value, I had a $21,000 rider on this table just to move it, just to wrap it and move it from the house where it was affected to a safe place in my warehouse. I charged $1,500. Okay. That wasn't cleaning it, restoring it. It was then shipped off to a specialty company because it was very damaged and it was a very high end. It was a wood table, an old wood table. So that's where my hybrid kind of comes in, right? I bill sometimes by a piece because of either high monetary value and or high emotional value, like I said, grandma's china or a wedding dress to the homeowner. Okay. I would not just put a wedding dress in the everyday laundry and bill it that way. I'm charging differently for that. Same with like if you have army dress, if you have dress clothes for the army, or what are they like, navy blues, I think they call them, or whites. I'm charging individually for that item, and I'm not just going to charge a standard rate because those have a much higher value and sentimental value to my homeowner. So I do time and materials. Make sure you know what your labor burden is. Make sure you know the cost of your materials and that you're marking it up accordingly. And that if you have a high emotional value item and or a writer on something or a high value item, then I'm going to charge for a specialty price on that according to my risk and liability. And like I said, not only do I get paid very fast on content bills that I put out and my coaching clients put out, and Firehouse students that we send in. But we get paid not only fast, but I mean like inside of 2 weeks, but also get paid in full and don't have a lot of grief from the adjuster or insurance company on them. So it also, I want to put in there a little caveat that it also really matters that you know how to write the scope, right? That you know how to write the bill, rather, I should say, and wording, and you have your good F9 notes and descriptors in there. Okay. Awesome. Well, Joe, I hope that helped you answer your question. And maybe some of you might be rethinking how you're doing your billing right now. And I will encourage you to do exactly that and rethink your billing if you are not using the methods that we use at Firehouse. All right. Well, thank you so much for watching the video. If any of you have questions on billing, please be sure and send me an email, Annissa@firehouseeducation.com, and I just might feature you on next week's Ask Annissa video column.